Hi scientist, Miss Staley here, and I'm ready to investigate with you. Today we're going to be investigating what happens when we put a thermometer into a cup of ice. So for this investigation, we're going to need the following materials. You are going to need a cup with 5 pieces of ice, a thermometer, paper towels in case we make a mess, and then you're going to need your Changing States Day 2 recording sheet, or some of you may answer the questions in the Nearpod. So for this investigation, we are going to place a thermometer into a cup of ice and observe the initial temperature. That's the temperature that it is when we first start. We'll record the initial temperature, then we're going to wait 10 minutes and record the temperature again. Finally, we will observe the thermometer after being in the cup of ice for 20 minutes and record our final temperature and any observations that we have. What do you predict is going to happen? Okay, scientist, so as you can see, I've got all of my materials set up. I have my cup of ice, 5 pieces of ice on the table on top of a paper towel. And then I've got my thermometer. Remember, I'm not going to touch my thermometer because when we touch a thermometer, sometimes it can pick up our own body heat. And that will give us an inaccurate reading, a reading that is not correct. So we're not going to touch the thermometer, especially in that red part that's red. So I've got my recording sheet and I'm going to read through the directions. It says, observe the plastic cup containing ice cubes sitting on a paper towel. Record the temperature of the cup of ice in Fahrenheit. Record and illustrate additional observations in the column to the right. So I'm going to now pick up my thermometer from the top and I'm going to show it to you so that we can see what the initial temperature is. So looking at my thermometer, I'm looking on the Fahrenheit side, that's on the side with the larger numbers, and I can see that it is about 70 degrees before I put the thermometer in the cup. So on my recording sheet where it says initial temperature, I am going to write 70, and usually I would put a label, but this time it's there for me, so that reads 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, over here, I'm going to sketch any observations or write any sentences in what I observe in my cup. All right, so we're nice and zoomed in on the cup. I'm also going to pick up the cup. And as you can see, we've got the cubes of ice. I can see it looks like a little bit of liquid at the bottom. Do you see that? Looks like my ice cubes are beginning to melt. There are 5 cubes in there, but I can definitely see that they are a shape. You can see the shape of the ice cubes. They look shiny. On my recording sheet, I'm going to record some of my observation. I've written down my observations, and now I'm ready to place my thermometer into the cup. So there we go. We will return in 10 minutes to see what happens. I'm gonna pull out the thermometer and let's take a look. So as you can see, the temperature has decreased to, it looks like 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Actually, it looks like, now that I have a closer look, 42 degrees Fahrenheit. So I am going to write that on my recording sheet. So I've zoomed in again so that you can see the ice. The ice still has a shiny appearance, but something that I noticed right away is there's definitely more water in there. And if you look closely at the bottom of the cup there, let me see if I can get that a little clearer for you. So if you look closely at the bottom of the cup, do you notice those little droplets? Those droplets are on the outside of the cup. How did those droplets get there when the ice is in the inside of the cup? As you can see on my recording sheet, I have written down my temperature and I've got some observations. I noticed that there were drops on the outside of the cup and that there was less ice in the cup. Now we're going to let the thermometer sit for 20 minutes or 10 more minutes, so it'll be a total of 20 minutes to see what happens. So 20 minutes total has passed, and we're going to make some observations and record the temperature of the thermometer. So let's go ahead, pull out the thermometer and see if we can get a good clear view of that. Alrighty, and I see that now the temperature has dropped even more, and if I look carefully, it looks like we're right about 40 degrees. So I'm going to write that on my recording sheet here. I've got 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And now let's make some observations. So if I look, let's take this out for now, at the cup. One thing that I really noticed very quickly is that a lot of the ice has melted. There's not as many cubes in there, or the cubes that are there have gotten smaller. But if I look at the outside of the cup, I notice that there are more drops of water and that the drops have gotten bigger. How did that happen? How do you think that happened? I'm going to record my observations here. You do the same. Then we're going to wrap up this activity by answering 2 questions. What do you notice about the temperature of the cup and the changes to the ice as time passes? So when we look at your initial temperature, the temperature after 10 minutes, and the temperature after 20 minutes, what do you notice? Finally, the second question is, how could you return the ice cubes back to their original state of matter? So what would I have to do to take this water that has now become a liquid and turn it back into a solid?